Okay, welcome back. So today we're going to be demystifying reincarnation and the concept of the soul trap. Now, in many cultures and spiritual traditions, the idea of reincarnation suggests that our souls take on human bodies in the quest for growth and learning. Okay. Now, Tony, stop.
Okay, yeah.
However, there's a darker aspect, which we're going to talk about today, the notion of the soul trap. Now, Tony calls it the soul trick, but this soul trap concept is a theory that suggests that our souls might be ensnared in a repetitive cycle of reincarnation manipulated by external forces. Now, joining us to demystify reincarnation and the soul trap trick theory is Tony Sayers. Welcome, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on and providing this space for me to, come and, talk about these things. Someone has to do it, I guess. So I seem to be, given this role. Maybe it's my mission or purpose, but thank you. Look forward to, getting into some deep stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tony. Thank you so much for coming. Now, the reincarnation theory and the soul trap concept. How did you figure out, or are you still figuring it out, but how did you come to this realization that there's a darker aspect to this reincarnation thing and soul trick theory or concept per se?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to mention is that you started off by mentioning like old cultures talk about reincarnation and different ancient knowledge and all this stuff, and this is something that comes up a lot because people seem to automatically think that because something is quote unquote old or quote unquote ancient, or it's come from elders or old traditions in the past, then somehow it must be absolute truth. And I'm saying that at this stage of the game, we need to put everything on the table and re-examine, because all these ancient things that we've been doing, all these ancient techniques, I talk a lot about, chakras and meditations and all this stuff. Well, where has it actually got us, right? We are more enslaved now, really, than we've ever been. With all these things, with people practicing all these things and having these ideologies. So I guess, I'm basically saying, look, I know all that stuff is old, but that doesn't necessarily mean it shouldn't be questioned. And the times that we're living in right now, I think everything absolutely has to be questioned, including things that we're told are old. So it's almost like a mind control thing, it's almost like it must be true because it's old knowledge, So we have, as a species, I think we've been a slave race for God knows how many thousands of years. So that's also old. And so we have to ask the question, why does that keep continuing with all this knowledge there in the background? So I just wanted to make that point first of all. But to answer your question, I never really bought into the whole reincarnation karma thing. I was, when you come across things and there's like a deep resonance with it, I was exposed to Buddhism when I went traveling. When I was 21, I went to Nepal. And although I found it interesting, I wouldn't say that it really grabbed me and, I changed the way I thought or anything like that. It just didn't hit me like that. But the whole soul, as I like to call it, trick, because to say it's a trap means that we're trapped here forever, and I don't think we are. So there is a silver lining in all of this. When I first heard about the soul trick, it must have been around, when did I start getting into like the understanding the metaphysical side of things and the entities must have been a good like 8-9 years ago, and at the time I don't think that I was ready to, or I hadn't got enough background knowledge of other things to really go into that concept with great depth. But I must admit, when I first saw it and heard it, I immediately thought, you know what, I bet that is going on. And it was only really until I sort of started getting into my body of work, understanding how entities work, how they will masquerade of beings of light to try and hook people into certain concepts, get them to go down certain roads. I became very aware of this when I learned about things like the chakras are not what we thought that they were, and just really understanding, and also down the years, just so many clients of stories of hearing the same things over and over again. You know, people that thought that they were channeling their dead dad, and they followed the advice, and they ended up losing their job, their wife, the car crash, and another woman who thought she was dealing with Archangel Michael, same thing. You know, that this entity was giving her some truths because they have to. They can't be all lies. And then same thing. You know, her whole life ended up being in a big hot mess. And these are stories that I heard time and time again down the years of just working with people, hearing their stories, people emailing me, you know, with confirmation saying, hey, look, you know, what you're saying is right, this happened to me. Hearing people, you know, in things like ayahuasca ceremonies where they'll come across certain entities that will give them a few truths, and then they'll tell them, you know, to do this and do that, and then the person goes and does this and that, and their life ends up in a mess. And just, you know, really understanding them and how they work, and how goddamn manipulative and deceptive they are, and how incredible they are at what they do in terms of deceiving us. I mean, I always say that I don't like what they've done. They're inherently evil on another level. I mean, really, when you look at how they're manipulating society and working through people, that's the other thing. People tend to think that, you know, these entities are just working through our world leaders and heads of government, heads of state, heads of corporation. No, they affect all of us to some degree or another. Everyone is subject to entity interference, etheric implant interference, but some people more than others, to the point where some people can just become fully hosted in terms of they're just a human vessel and they've got a demon working through them. This is what, you know, rapists and murderers are. And when you look at survival stories in that, you'll often hear that the person said, well, the person told me to not look at them in the eyes, and then I saw the eyes turn black. And, you know, so I think that some people here are not even human. I think, I mean, this is how deep it goes, right? They're fully hosted. And of course, you know, they are doing evil things. And so, yeah, I mean, to cut a long story short, it's just really, I guess I was exposed very heavily to, and through my own experience, you know, I ended up down that rabbit hole because I was being psychically attacked. I had all this interference because of a video that I put out. I've told the story many times, and this video went viral. It was to do with the military, and I was just basically calling out the military, saying, hey, you know, we're not heroes going to these poor countries bombing sheep farmers and children. You know what I mean? It's like, what's heroic about that, with high-tech weapon? And then we're zooming off in F-16s. Like what chance do these people have? You know, what are we even doing there? And of course, that didn't go down well. It got into military circles, and I don't know how many death threats in my inbox when I woke up in the morning. And that didn't bother me. But what was weird is that after that, I felt like I was walking around in like an energetic soup. And anyway, I had a clearing session where, you know, I had entities cleared from me, and also the chakra implant and things like that. And it was like night and day. This cloud had lifted, and I felt completely different. And and for the first time, the mind looping had gone in my head. You know, we don't realize how many of our thoughts aren't even ours. You know, the constant voices that we have in our heads. You're not good enough. No one's going to like you. You can't do this. Yada yada yada. And they play on our subconscious wounds all day long. What does that do? It makes us more fearful, makes us more anxious, which is more food for them. You know, they feed on fear, anxiety, sadness. This is why this world is kept in a perpetual state of fear and anxiety, you know, from wars to famines constantly littered throughout human history. And on top of that, we are kept in scarcity, you know, the fact that we have to pay for a living. I mean, you don't see other species, you don't see the birds, you don't see the fish, you know, bartering with money and, oh, I'll give you this amount if you give me, you know, a twig to build my nest with. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, but we've accepted this as normal. And so we are constantly chasing the financial dollar or pound or whatever the currency is in the particular country, many times until we die, you know. So we're kept in this constant perpetual fear and anxiety, and this is food for them. And this is why, you know, if you went into a coffee shop and you asked everyone, hey, you know, who wants a war? Like, everyone would be like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. But why do, you know, if nobody wants them, why do we constantly have them, right? Because the people
why do you sign up to also go to the
war? I mean, but it's just really the tiny few that want them, and the tiny few are obviously heavily interfered with, and I would say completely possessed by these entities. And there's many different entity races. You know, people just talk about reptilians. I mean, they're just one of them. You have dragon entities, serpent entities, demiurge, spider entities, octopus entities. It's kind of teeming with different entity races and races within races. So there's different forms of serpent entities, two-headed serpents, and you know, it really is it's basically like a feeding frenzy. And this is very triggering and upsetting for people to hear this, but the problem is people, when it comes to, you know, the truth, and I don't profess to know everything, and, you know, I'm still learning, but I do feel like I've got a good handle on things. But the way that many people discern truth is based on how the truth makes them feel. Like, does it make them feel good inside? Mm-hmm. This is why the New Age movement is so popular, spirituality, because all that stuff, angels, guides, you know, you got all these, you know, these teams of entities that have got your back, you know, even though you're still here in a realm of trauma and suffering. Like, they're not really doing a very good job, are they, guiding us? And so many people will stop at the point of the soul trick because it doesn't make them feel good, and they will stop at the point of where, you know, you start talking about light beings and your dead dad and your dead mum being entities. It's just too painful, it's too hard for them, doesn't make them feel good. So they stop, and that's very dangerous, because what I'm saying is that if you can understand the soul trick and realize, okay, we've been scammed, it loses all its power. And if you stop at that point, you want to continue with these rigid belief systems in these matrix deities, you're going to get tricked back round again. And so it's very important when people are listening to me, and people like me, and I'm the first person to admit that the information doesn't on the surface sound good. I get it completely. A lot of people are on this planet have had unbelievable trauma and suffering, and those things make them feel good. You know, that they want to feel like their guides are there. They want to feel like they've got Archangel Michael there backing them up, and you know, your dead dad's going to be there with open arms when you pass over. I get that so much, like I really do, and I have a lot of empathy for people in that respect, but it's not going to lead your soul to freedom. to continue to cling on to things that make you feel good. And so, you know, we have to be mature enough. We have to, you know, take the punch on the chin, because there is a golden lining to all of this, and I'll get to that in a bit. Because really, it's the keys out of here, I believe. You know, so people have got to discern truth by not how it makes them feel. I.e., does it make you feel gooey inside? But how does it make you feel? Okay, there's a resonance there. That hits me in the stomach, in the gut. That is true. You know, that's because truth is a frequency. It's something you can feel, and the more you tap into it and tune into it, the more you recognize it. And so the problem is this matrix, and even within, you know, alternative media or the truth movement, it's layered with misinformation, disinformation, psyops, shills, and so we have to become a lot better at discerning, you know, the truth. Because if we don't, chances are we're going to get manipulated and tricked back round again in this matrix. You know, it's in the etymology of the word. It's telling you it's trick. Solar system, luring the soul into the system. It's all telling you what it is in plain sight. Yeah. So this isn't me just saying, hey, you know, this is like some random dude like coming on. Like, this is 10 years of working with thousands of clients, understanding how these entities work, how they masquerade, interviewing people like Jerry Marzinski, who worked in a schizophrenic ward for 30 years and explains how these entities will all act the same.
We've had him on here.
You've had him on? Yeah.
There was a lot of very interest. You know, I think people need to listen to Jerry, because he's onto something, and there's a missing piece in the field of psychiatry that nobody really wants to look into. And if you continue, like, you know, Tony, people throw these fancy quotes like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But here they are, still doing politics, still doing religion, still doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
so fascinating.
People love throwing quotes around, but often, you know, people don't live by them, do they? So it's kind of a fashionable thing to do on your Instagram these days.
Yeah, it's very fashionable, but you can see by the actions, you know, it's so interesting. Like, you know, what I know is, as humanity collectively, we can't hide what we are actually doing, because we are manifesting it and we are seeing it on the big screen. Yeah. You know, if we were all love and light, we should see love. There should be no wars. There should be no hungry people. Everyone should be love, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, as human souls, I think we're born, that's our essence. You know, we're very playful, childlike. This is why entities target children a lot. This is why there's always a lot of ghosts and stuff around children, because children have very pure energy, and this is why the elite, you know, do all the evil things they do to children, because they're taking that pureness of the soul. They're trying to take that, and so I think we, you know, left unchecked, if all this evil wasn't here, we would be very loving towards each other. There wouldn't be all the division. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, I guess not everyone's going to get on all the time, and I'm not saying it would be a utopia, but without all the poisons in the food, the air, the water, without us having to struggle every day, you know, to put food on the table and you know, earn paper money, you know, where we're at odds with each other. And so I think this place would be very different, even though nature's beautiful. Even nature is very cruel. You know, people go, oh, nature's wonderful. Well, yeah, there's a very cruel aspect to it. You know, I said on an interview the other day, like, if I go out, I live in Mexico, if I go out in the sea here and I'm in the wrong place in the Caribbean Sea, there's bull sharks out there. You know, I could get bitten in half. You know, nature doesn't care about me. You know, and so even things like that. I mean, this realm seems very. I call it gangster planet. You know, like I don't know if you ever played the game Sims when you were younger, but there was yeah. So this is like it's a simulation, and this is like gangster version. You know, it's like, and so it's a very difficult and challenging place to be when you research NDEs, near death experiences. They never want to come back here. Like very rarely do they ever go. Very rarely is there any kind of there's always kind of like a struggle or a debate with the deity or entity that's trying to send them back down again, you know, telling them that they have a mission or a purpose, or, you know, all this nonsense. And so, excuse me, there's a motorbike going past. And so yeah, my point is that I understand it's challenging here. It's difficult here, and people have a lot of trauma. And if it's not their own trauma, it's ancestral trauma. They've got a lot of worries. And who wouldn't want a bloody team of guides, an Archangel Michael, to have your back? You know, I mean, who wouldn't want that? So I get it, right? But it's deception. It's not true. These are entities that are masquerading, and as I said before, they will give you a few nuggets of truth, but there's what I call the dump in the punch bowl, or the rug pull. They will pull the rug from beneath you, and we see this more than effort when we get into the realms of the soul trick and what happens there. So, for any of your viewers that aren't aware of the soul trick and what they do, I'll break it down into very simple stages. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, more often than not, people, when they pass over, they see this white light. I think this is coming from the moon. I think the moon is involved in the whole soul trick. And so because people don't do any research in their physical lives, and there's all this NDE propaganda, you know, you have Disney films called Soul, there's Netflix series about NDEs, there's YouTube channels blowing up, all these NDEs. So people are exposed to that level of it. So they're like, they've done no research, but they know, there's a light tunnel. I once watched a YouTube video about the light and go into the light. So that's where I'm going to go. And what they do is these entities and this matrix, they put on a real show for people, right? This is an extravaganza, right? So these are
the external forces putting on a show.
Yes, yeah. So these entities and whoever's behind this matrix, some kind of AI, I would assume. Okay. So the person's died, and probably consciously they're already traumatized because they're realizing they've died, and then because they're unsure, and I'll get into this a bit more in a minute when I talk about how we don't go through this process. Mm-hmm. So the person dies, they're unsure, they see the white light because that's what is presented to them, and this matrix has like an algorithm, and so it will be like, okay, Joe blogs, right? Brrr, okay, yeah, he was really close to Grandpa Joe. Brrr, okay, and he was really into Archangel Michael. Brrr, okay, so if we use those things, the likelihood of us getting him back round again is going to be quite high. So that's what they do, right? So Joe dies. And then the white light tunnel, and then they hit you with a love bomb frequency, which is like a false light frequency, which is a little bit like, I don't know if you've ever taken ecstasy in your life. I took it years ago. I don't recommend it now.
So it's been customized when they pulled up the keywords. So then now they customize the show.
It's tailored for you, right? Okay. So if your thing's Jesus, it'll be Jesus. If it's your dead aunt that you love dearly, it'll be your dead aunt. I mean, it's very cruel, right? It's very cruel. I've even seen accounts where they'll use dead pets and stuff like that to lure people. And so he's died, and then all of a sudden, Archangel Michael shows up, and his granddad shows up, and they're like, "Oh, it's all right. You're home. Everything's going to be fine." You know, he's been hit with a love bomb. Oh, okay, I'm safe. You know, you don't have the heaviness of the human body. You don't have all the emotion, so you're feeling light. You're feeling, oh wow, this is incredible. And so and so you've already got the familiarity with the deity, because you were so heavily into Archangel Michael when you was alive. Archangel Michael actually looks like a squid, by the way, as an entity.
Like a squid.
Yeah, in its true form, right? When as an entity, yeah. So anyway, they tell you, look, Bob, what did I use? Joe. They say, Joe, come with us. You know, you need to have your life review. And they have a report being in like an auditorium with all these screens where they get shown different parts of their life. Their life flashes in front of them. And what's very interesting, whether it be God, Jesus, Archangel Michael, guides, elders, the deity or entity will tell the person, and they will keep repeating it, because repeating is a form of hypnosis, really. Yeah. They will say, we're not judging you. Joe, we're not judging you. You are not judged. There is no judgment here. No judgment, no judgment, no judgment, no judgment. Right? Okay. Then they show you your goddamn worst bits of your life, right? So you might have been a good person, but Joe hurt Bob in 2008. He had a big argument with Bob, made Bob feel bad. Then he had an argument with his ex-girlfriend Lisa, made her cry. Lisa didn't feel good. So then they make you feel what the person felt like when you hurt them. So they make Joe feel what Bob felt, and they make Joe feel what Lisa felt. Mm-hmm. But they're not judging you, right? But they'll make damn sure that you judge yourself, right? Once you feel the pain and suffering that you caused in those moments, right? So it's very clever, because on the one hand they're saying they're not judging you, but you're still getting hit with all the guilt and shame through feeling what those people felt when you hurt them. So then they've got you feeling bad about yourself, and then what they'll do is they'll hit you with whatever rigid belief system that you have. So, okay, Joe, very religious, will use heaven and hell, or Joe, believed in karma, will hit him with the karmic, bad karma. So then they'll say, look, Joe, we need to have a talk. Look, we're just going to lay it on the line. You're a good person, right? You did well in that lifetime. But, you know, you hurt Bob and you hurt Lisa. And unfortunately, you've got some bad karma there. Oh, no. What do I do with that then? Well, you know, there is a solution, problem, reaction, solution. They always give you the solution to their problem that they plan, right?
Yeah, the Hegelian dialectic.
Exactly, right?
Exactly. Really see this in every single arena.
Yeah.
The Hegelian dialectic.
100%. And so Joe's feeling bad about himself. He's just been told by these deities, because the other thing we do is automatically pedestalize these beings, right? This is so annoying when I watch these NDEs. Like, the person would just be like, oh my God, and hang off every word that they say, right? They're saying, oh, you've got to go back to Earth, you've got a mission. Says who? Like, who are you? Do you know what I mean? No one ever says that, right? So anyway, this deity, Archangel Michael's like, you know, Joe, there is a solution to this. Oh, what's the solution? Well, you know, if you need to come back to Earth to resolve your karma and learn these lessons. Oh, well, I don't want to go back there. It's just like suffering. It's fear. I feel heavy in the body. I really don't. Well, you know, your option is bad karma, like, you know, or if he's religious, well, you know, hell's there if you don't want to do it. Like, that's. And they actually create a false hell realm in that dimension. Yeah,
this is all from the person you revere, the loving God, the loving deity who you revere is willing to let you go to.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on God. I mean, I reviewed one NDE where
a loving God, you know.
Yeah, no, but this God, this woman thought that she was speaking to God. God kept telling her, "You've got free will. You've got free will," and she's like, "Oh, thanks God, thanks God." But you need to go back. And she's like, but I don't want to go back, God. And this is her words, not mine. And she said, in the next breath, I was stuffed back into my human body. Stuffed back. like by God, right? And so this is what annoys me about God, and like how everyone's praying to God and thinking God's going to help them. You know, it's just so anyway.
Also, Tony, you know, I know also a lot of Christians listen to our show. So that's why I ask these questions all the time. This is a loving God. You revere this God, and this is a God of forgiveness. So why are you being judged? Shouldn't you, when you pass on, should God just say, I forgive you for everything? Because that's what's required of Christians in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because in this realm, Christians are always told you must forgive. Just
yeah,
forgive.
I mean,
when you go on, you're being judged. Shouldn't God?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, all this forgiveness. I mean, you know, same in the New Age movement. We should forgive everyone. No, we shouldn't. You know, sometimes we need an apology. Sometimes the person's an absolute narcissist, or you know, they don't deserve forgiveness. All this, you know, love and light forgiveness. Everything's good. Never judge anything. You know, it's just like you say. I mean, it's the same thing rehashed, and it's getting us into like real problems here. We've got to change the whole dynamic in the way we think, and we've got to stop pedalisticizing entities and deities and hanging off every word that they say, and just being like led to a cliff face. You know, it's just crazy. So anyway, to get back to the soul trap. So Joe's feeling bad about himself. The entity has convinced him against what he really wants, which he doesn't want to go back to Earth. No one does. If you study the NDEs, no one wants to come back. They know what this place is at that level. And so anyway, but he feels he hasn't got a choice, right? He's either going to go to hell if he's religious, or he's got some bad karma. And so anyway, reluctantly he agrees to come back. And they have, there's been NDEs where I've looked at where they have resting centers where people rest between lives, right? So they'll finish this life and they'll go to like this resting center where they'll prepare and get over the one life to prepare to come back again, right? Imagine, yeah.
You prepare. It's like a school. Like,
yeah.
What are they doing there?
Well, because the earth plane is so difficult, and so all the trauma and suffering, people can't just go straight from their soul. Just can't go straight from one life straight into another. They have to go and rest for a while. I don't know how long that is. There's no time and space in that dimension. But if you review NDEs, it comes up a lot that they go to like an in between lives place, right? But they have schools up there. They have jobs there. There's and we're going to get to this in a minute. So I'll explain this bit in a minute.
Okay.
And so the Joe now is having to come to terms with the fact that he's got to come back down to Earth. And what they do is there's pre-birth planning. So often you will plan your life with some deity or entity, and they'll tell you, oh, you need to have this life because these are the lessons that you need to learn, in this lifetime. So for this time, Joe, you need to be a Vietnamese rice farmer with one leg, right? To learn what it feels like to have one leg, and learn how to have gratitude for your bowl of rice every night, right? Things like that. Yeah, and so you plan your life with these entities, and I don't think it stays planned. I think using our willpower, waking up to the scam, I think then we can carve our own path, right? That's my feeling on it. I feel like when you're asleep, then yeah, you're just, I look at my life, I was just going along with the matrix, right? I was doing the corporate job. I was just existing. It's the name of my first book. Am I living or just existing? Mm. So I think we can, because human willpower trumps everything. And I feel like even if we have a life plan, so to speak, I feel like we can, through our willpower and our own decisions, change that. But that is what goes on. You can, again, this isn't me saying this. This is, you can look at NDEs and review all the afterlife stuff yourself. And so then the cruelest thing that they do is the memory wipe, the veil of forgetfulness. And this is why this is so important, because they will, everything that you've learned in your lifetime, this lifetime, you will potentially have it all wiped from your memory. And so you could get so far in the path of truth, but not understand the soul trick, and then you get tricked by that, or you just can't give up your religious beliefs, or you just can't give up your rigid belief in angels or whatever your matrix belief system is. And so that's the cruelest thing. That's why they call it research, retire. We're doing these things over and over again. So so the veil of forgetfulness is also a very traumatic experience that we go through. There was one NDE that I reviewed where this entity had convinced him to come back, and he wanted to keep some of his memories, or he didn't want to go into the memory wipe, the veil of forgetfulness. And they said to him, well, what we can do is we can put you in a training center. Imagine a training center to go through the veil of forgetfulness, so it won't be so painful for you, right? And so anyway, he ended up doing this, but he still, they agreed that he would retain some memories. And I feel like because they wanted him to come back and tell people it's so great when you pass. And so yeah, and then we're born again, and we have another lifetime here where, essentially what I see this planet as a farm. I feel like we're cows on a farm, and we're being milked for our energy. Humans, as a human soul, we're incredibly powerful energy generators. I mean, we don't even know the half of it. And actually, in these NDEs, there's some positive things that you can learn as well. Like people report seeing their energy, and it was just so expansive, so powerful, and that's what we are, right? They know we are, but I don't know how or why, but we just seem to still be so naive and childlike in the way that we, I don't know, discern information, or we want to believe in a savior all the time when really that's what we are. Like and they know that, they're the proverbial Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, the old man behind the curtain. That's what they really are. They're parasites. They're mosquitoes. But they've managed to do a job in tricking us over and over again, and along with the memory wipe, the veil of forgetfulness, to come back over here, recycled here. So reincarnation is actually recycling, and so when we're here, they just continue to feed on all our our anxieties, our fears, and so it goes on, and that really is what's been going on.
Yeah, Tony, what made me very curious about this topic is when I was introduced to reincarnation and the whole concept, I couldn't understand how you could be told that this is a school where you've come to learn, yet, and knowing that where you've come for growth and learning, right? You've come to expand your knowledge and learn more, evolve, whatever, ascend, but you don't have your previous education. It's like going to a school. Sometimes I look at things very practical.
Yeah.
I look at it like, okay, I'm in a school, but I don't know whether I'm in third grade, university. It's my 5th PhD, master's degree. So how is this learning happening? Am I in kindergarten with 5 PhDs?
Yeah.
What is going on? So this is how I started really questioning this, because if you have good intentions for learning, if you run a good school, right, you want every student to have a curriculum that is going, you want to equip your students with all the tools, the curriculum to excel. Yeah. But here we are with even no evidence that reincarnation really exists. It's a completely blurry, gray area.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not much to really say, this is something.
Yeah, and they link karma into that. I don't believe karma is real at all. I used to believe in karma, but now I don't. I don't see it playing out on the world stage. We have fat, rich pedophiles that are torturing and eating babies that have everything, and they have all the wealth, all the resources. They have carte blanche on everything, and then you have people like, I can go out here in Mexico. beautiful people, beautiful souls with families rummaging through bins with nothing. And it's like, and the worst thing is when these new agers tell me that people like that chose their experience. It makes me so angry. Like, honestly, I get so angry. Like, when I had a conversation with a woman recently, like, okay, we were debating this point, and she was like, you know, because they're always very passive aggressive as well, and very kind of arrogant. It's like, you know, Tony, because I was saying, well, what about a kid in Gaza that gets their parents blown up in front of them and then gets blown up themselves? Like, what? Well, you're telling me that kid chose that experience? Like, are you? I said that is an evil thing to think. Like,
it's very evil, and there's no evidence.
No, but I just don't see, like, where is karma playing out? You have innocent people that go to prison for a lifetime. Then you have people that murder and rape that never get caught, continue to do it all their life. Like, where is this karma? Karma is simply something that they use for the guilt and shame programming when you die, and it's a shoehorn to get you to come back again, because they can then say, well, you know, if you want to evolve to our level, then you need to resolve your karma. Like, it's the same thing as is heaven and hell rehashed. It's like, okay, you're a bad person, so you're going to go to hell. You're a good person. So it's just the same thing, but changed around, right? It's just, so the whole reincarnation thing just doesn't make any sense, but particularly when you spend, I mean, I've spent years now, hours after hours just researching, you know, NDEs, pre-birth memories, you know, how entities work, and none of it makes sense. You know, that old information, traditional information, even though it's old, doesn't make any sense to me, doesn't add up. And it's not the experience that I see. It's not the experience that I've heard from testimonies. And so this is what we're dealing with. And, you know, this is very upsetting for people, because people, like we've already touched on, they want to make this place something it's not. If you're in the New Age movement, they're going to tell you that this is New Earth. This is all love and light. Everything's fine. Just sit under sit under the oak tree, sing Kumbaya. This is a wonderful place. And, you know, if you do have any suffering, then it's a lesson that you need to learn. And actually, Earth is a school. And like you rightly say, you know, how can it be a school? At school, you get graded by every stage, right? Yeah. And you get told, okay, I'm learning geography. All right, so geography is what I'm going to learn. We don't get told any. You're not getting told, okay, so you need to learn how to, I don't know, love. This is the one that they say often. Oh, you know, you need to have an experience as a war victim so you can learn how to forgive someone that did something. Like, just go away with that crap. You know what I mean? It's just bullshit. And so then the obvious question is, well, how do we get out? And so I
how do we get out? But I also wanted to add something. When earlier on, when you were talking about the video you uploaded, I know I'm going a bit far, but I just wanted to say this. When you talked about the heavy energy, I learned something from one of our smart guests that I want to share relative to what you said about how you felt. They taught me that gossip and negative thought forms directed to one person is the biggest witchcraft. And it actually affects people's energetic field. And that's something I think I just wanted to share that, because people need to really pay attention. You can disagree with somebody without doing all this negative stuff, because it's actually a form of for lack of better words, it's a form of witchcraft, and it's the blackest, darkest magic you can do, and you are affecting people's energetic field. So you just disagree respectfully, knowing that that energy is tethered to you. So that's what came up. My guests, they're on it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, psychic. You're talking about psychic energy, and yes,
psychic energy. Yeah.
Psychic energy is real. Thought forms are real. Thought form entities are real. So, for example, you know, if you have someone that I don't know, let's just say, for example, you had an ex-husband that, you know, you broke up with him, and he hated you for it. He hated you. He was full of hate. He was obsessing over you like day after day. that thought form becomes so strong that it can actually create an entity which can stick on your energy field and start draining you. So we have psychic energy, like what you're talking about, just the thought form, the thought form energy, which if it's negative and you have enough of it, it can stick on your energy field and start to drain you. But then you have the thought form entities as well. So, you know, that is all very real. What it shouldn't stop us doing is, you know, that we don't want to go into like the new age kind of ideology of, you know, you're never allowed to think anything negative, or don't look at the negative.
No, that's not what I meant. You can disagree. What I mean is you can disagree respectfully.
Yeah.
And of course, you should always ask questions, but you have to watch how much negative energy you are putting out unnecessarily, is what I mean. Yeah, because that was very important, because Tony, when you think of all the programs that are out here and people are really gung-ho on it, this is also, you know, it's impeding. Like, even if you have different political beliefs, share your opinion, but don't start creating this gunk around people who, you know, you disagree with, but you want to elevate the earth, per se. That's what I mean. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's all loose, isn't it, at the end of the day? And, you know, this is why, you know, they like arguments, you know, they like... And these entities will get in on your wounds. You know, this is the other reason why inner work is so important, you know, because they'll use your wounds against you. And they do, you know, especially in relationships. If you've got just say the woman's got an abandonment wound and the guy's got a betrayal wound, they'll get in on, turn the volume up on both of them, and then there's like it's fireworks, and then there's loosh, and then there's these entities are feeding on all of that. That's why after an argument, if you had a really bad argument, just the energy around the room just feels so heavy, right? And you can feel drained for days, because, you know, you're dealing with so much more than just the physical argument. You're dealing with the energetic side of things as well. So yeah, it's all very real. So yeah, we definitely need to be conscious. And yeah, I mean, like, you can disagree with someone, and you can even disagree with someone and not like them, you know. So yeah, but I guess you know, to just finish the whole soul trick thing is, you know, people are like, well,
you're going to tell us how we can not get caught up in
well, basically, this is what I'm going to do, right? So what I'm saying to people is, look, this is what I'm going to do. What you do is up to you, because I don't want it on my shoulders. If I get it wrong, then I take everyone with me, right? But I'm pretty, you know, pretty confident in this is how it goes. I mean, for me, the truth is very simple. It's just setting your intention to leave, and you know, just while you're alive, just every day, well, not even every day, just every week or every few days, it's like, okay, when my time comes, I'm leaving, right? Because what happens, it's almost like we get to, just say like the doorway's over here, the exit's over here, and we die and we're confused, and the matrix will step in. And so before we even get a chance to walk out the door, the matrix has got its claws into us and is starting to manipulate. So all we need to do is, I'm dead now, I'm leaving, right? And so in that dimension, everything is instant. When you research these NDEs, they often talk about, you know, one moment I thought of a forest and I was in that forest, or one moment I thought of this world and I was in this world, and one moment I thought of this beach scenery and I was at this beach. So not only are we, does our consciousness go wherever we want it to go, we're also the creator of worlds. And so if I said to you, hey, look, shut your eyes and create a forest with a house in it, you could close your eyes and you could create that in the astral, and that would be there in the astral, right? And you can keep going back to that. You know, I don't really like the term meditation, but if you want to quiet your mind and you've had a stressful day, you can just go into your your little cottage in the forest. You can build things around it. Maybe you want some mountains there in the background. Maybe there's a lake if you walk down there. And so you're creating, and you're doing that in the astral. So I believe that when we pass, it's just a case of take me out of here, take me to the exit, whether or not, you know, we rip a hole through the fabric of the matrix, or, you know, we just come to like an exit, your consciousness will take you there. I liken it to driving a car. The problem has been, we've got this car, our consciousness. We don't drive it when we die. We don't drive it when we're alive. The matrix is driving it for us. Is telling us how to live our lives, what we need to do, where we need to go, where we need to spend our money. And so when we pass over, we're still not driving our car. And so the matrix will continue to drive a car. It'll be, hey, you know, come and drive your car over here. Oh, okay, then I'll go over here. And then all of a sudden you're sitting in front of an entity having your life reviewed and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if we realize we have the car, we're in control of the car. Okay, I'm dead, so I'm going to drive it out of here. And so you just go and I feel like it's as simple as that. I feel like intention is everything in that dimension. And I think it's just a case of using your intention to leave, you know, being very strong about it. For me, if I'm not going to engage with any beings until I know that I'm fully out of this place, you know, I'm not here saying that everything is bad in creation, but within this matrix, this, especially the fourth dimension, I liken it to like, you know, a football match. You know, you're playing away. That's their ground. You know, that's their domain, if you like. And so, yeah, it's just a case of taking the wheel of the car and driving out of here. I don't think it needs to be too complicated. There's some researchers that are out there saying that you need to be like a perfect person, and every like bad habit you have, you need to resolve it before you can leave this place. I don't believe that at all. You know, as humans, we're flawed. I mean, obviously you want to try and be a good person. You know, the same thing with karma. Like, I'm not saying don't be a good person.
Yeah, and you're not saying that at all.
Yeah,
I'm sure the listeners are not taking that.
Yeah, be a good person, but for a good person's sake, not because you're scared of karma or hell or something like that. And so, yeah, I feel that it's very, I feel like it should be a straightforward process, but, you know, I'm still learning as well. So maybe new information will come. I think it is useful to energy train in this while we're here in 3D. And
how do you energy train, Tony? How do you?
Well, I mean, you know, I've been doing it since I got into clearing entities and all that stuff for like 10 years. So I actually put a course together about a year ago, which is on my website, which you know, you can learn how to clear entities and implants and overlays and psychic energy and stuff like that, and cords and stuff. So that might be worth checking out for some people. But yeah, so I don't feel like it's a very complex thing to get out of here. I think it's just a case of setting intention. I am starting to look into astral travel, OBEs, because I feel maybe there is some use in, if you can master that while you're alive, maybe when you pass, it's not so weird. You know, it doesn't feel so strange because you've already got that skill. That's something that I haven't done yet myself, but it's something that I'm looking into. So yeah.
Tony, when you mentioned the analogy of the football game, and you know, they're playing at home, you know, basically they have home court advantage. Were you implying in the other rounds they have home court advantage, or here in this round they have home court?
I think certainly in the fourth dimension, which is the dimension closest to us. In that dimension, it's pretty much entities or false light beings, entities that are masquerading of the light. So the way I see this matrix is it's like a computer game, right? It's an experience, and for whatever reason we've been tricked here longer than we should be. But this is just one matrix of many matrices that we can experience. Maybe there
are layers. So it's a layered game. It's like any video game. You play and you go up the levels.
Yeah, it's like snakes and ladders, you know. And there's a lot of snakes, unfortunately.
It's a
But
lot of snakes.
but yeah, so outside of this matrix, I mean, I do a lot of parts work and IFS, and I believe that when we pass, we can also make the decision of, because for me, I like being Tony, right? I actually enjoy being myself. And I had a breakthrough experience once when I took acid. I don't really recommend it now, but it was incredible at the time, because I was on the beach with my friend, and it was almost like everything that I thought I was melted into everything, right? And all my problems, everything that I built myself up to be or thought I was, really paled into like kind of an insignificance, right? And so I remember being on this beach and my ego was pissed off, right? I was like, hang on a minute, all this Tony Sayers stuff, this isn't really me. This is like, so I've gone through all of this stuff, all these hardships, built myself up when actually I'm everything, right? So there was a moment where my ego was kind of pissed about it, right? But at the same time, it was also very beautiful to know that I was actually just a drop in the ocean. You know, I was just a drop in the ocean of everything. So
Wow.
so I believe that that's what we truly are, and I also believe that we have the choice, or we would have the choice, to continue our journey as a fractal of the everything. So I can have Tony experiences in other realms, in other matrices, maybe not so gangster as this, and maybe I'm going to create my own. I love the ocean. Maybe I'll create my own ocean realm and hang out there for a while. But you know, I kind of feel like I want to just continue being me, like my fractal of consciousness. But I do believe we have the option to go back and be part of the ocean as well. And I've seen this with parts work and IFS, where you know you deal with a part that comes in, and they've been playing a particularly hard role for the person, and you know you manage to heal the inner child, and then you ask the part, you know, do you want to stay and play a more positive role, or have you had enough? Do you want to go back and to all that is? And some of them, they want to change their roles and they want to continue playing a role in the person's life. Others are like, no. Others are like, no, I've had enough. I'm going back, right? And they go back to, you know, essence or whatever. And so
they're beings who are addicted to this game. It's like a video game. You can't be addicted to the game, and you're like, I want to play more. I just want a different.
Well, I think this is what consciousness is. I think we just have all these worlds where we can have all these experiences. Maybe there's other realms like dragon realms or Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe there's more kind of like love and light realms, you know, where everything does just feel like bliss all the time. You know, maybe there are other good versus evil realms, just like there are many different computer games. There are many different simulations, and I think there's something very unique about this simulation in that, well, we have somehow been, you know, tricked to come back round and round again, and it's almost like it's like a corrupt video game, you know, where some video games they pick up a virus or something. It's almost like this game has got some kind of virus to it, and that's what I think. I think we, you know, we are essentially at the core, we are everything, and at our biggest expanded level, I believe that we are everything.
So Tony, I had a guest who was talking about the law of one. Do you, because you're saying we are everything, what are your thoughts on this concept, the law of one, meaning we're all interconnected, we're all one and the same, manifested in different forms, shapes, you know?
I believe what's happening here on the planet is there are source players of the game, and there are
Source players. You said source players.
Yeah, well, essence. I don't really like the word
essence
source.
Players.
Essence,
okay.
Yeah. Just in like a video game, you have like the main characters, and I believe that there are fill-in people, NPCs, and I believe that maybe around 70% of people on the planet are not true human souls. And why do I say this? Well, in some of the NDEs, a lot of people have said that they saw mechanical souls coming into the earth, and this would correlate with some of the movies that I've seen where they talk of NPCs, and it makes sense, because this is why we get so frustrated that some people just won't wake up, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And you have that Agent Smith that comes forward when you try and say anything bad about this place. They're like, well, you know, yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a tinfoil hat wearer, yeah.
And they never question it or bother to research it. You know, that's what I find. You're hitting the nail on the head, Tony, because I always wondered, you cannot just at least question it, research it, look into it, accept that you don't have all the answers and you don't know everything. This is obvious. No one has all the answers. No one knows everything. We are all... You know, we are all products of our upbringing, so we need to learn a lot and unlearn a lot.
Yeah,
you're hitting the nail. Yeah.
So what I would define an NPC as someone that lacks curiosity, and this came to me one day when I was on a long coach journey from a place called Puerto Escondido to Oaxaca on the Pacific side of Mexico. It was a horrible bus ride. It was 12 hours, and all the aircon had broke down, so it was hot. But they had a TV in the bus playing movies non-stop, and there I was looking out the window, pondering all kinds of different things, as I always do. You know, my mind, like, why is this like this? Why is like that? Why like that? And I'm looking out the window, and I just turned my head, and I looked at everyone, and everyone is like this, looking at the TV like this. Bearing in mind, we're going through beautiful scenery as well, mountains. So there's a lot to look at. And there's like, and I was looking at them, and I was like, there's no curiosity in them. There's just, and it came to me in that moment. I was like, that's what an NPC is. It's just someone that you could tie them to a chair for 24 hours and show them documentary after documentary about how this place is corrupt, the things that are going on. They'll watch all of them, they'll still call you crazy, because they are programmed different. They are programmed people to uphold the matrix. And so not everyone here is wired the same. And again, that's a big pill for people to swallow. It makes complete sense. So I don't believe that we all do come from the same. I believe that we have, if you're watching this podcast, you're probably not an NPC. So don't worry, right? People are like, oh, am I an NPC? Am I an NPC? No, if you're asking that question, then you're not an NPC, right? So,
you're asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry. You know,
it's not set. You know,
if you're this deep down the rabbit hole, then you're not an NPC.
Down the rabbit hole.
So yeah, it's. I mean, I had this the other day. Like, I just can't tell you. Right, the Matrix. When you start waking up to a deep level, especially to this level, and I have my own targeting going on. Obviously, they hate. I don't even talk about the half of what happens to me.
Wow.
But you know, the Matrix, the simulation reconstructs itself around you to annoy you, right? When you get to a certain level, and these agents of the Matrix will come in and just cause you issues. So I got a boat ride from a place called Isla Mujeres to Cancun the other day. And I thought I'm gonna find a quiet place to sit, because the NPCs always find me. And so anyway, I go to the front of the boat, and on the bottom deck, and there's a row of 3 seats, and I sort of get in on by the window, and there's plenty of other seats that are free, like before that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this woman walks up with a can of beer in her hand, right? Oh, here we go. Ignores all the other seats. Sits next to me, like not even one like space in between, like next to me, right? Drinking her beer. She stinks of alcohol. She gets on her mobile, starts shouting in Spanish like she's a million miles away from her phone. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, you've got to be fucking joking me. That cannot be. That cannot be a natural thing that just happened. All these spare seats, right? So anyway, I can't take it. Yeah. So I get up. Right. She's shouting like she stinks of alcohol. It's 40 minutes it's not a long journey, but too long. I'm tired, right? I can't be dealing with it, right? So I get up, go to the top deck, and there's a row of 3 seats, and on the top deck there's even less people, right? It's mainly all 3 seats up there. So I get on this row of 3 seats. This man walks up the step. Not man, he must be in early 20s. And he's like this on his phone, right? He's not even looking at anything, right? Comes up. He has a quick look up at the top deck, and I'm like, he's not going to sit near me, surely. There's like 100 seats, right? Gets into the row behind me, sits directly on the seat behind me, right? And so then he's still doing this, and then he puts his head forward onto my back, right? Onto my back, like, so he's in my personal space now. He's like, just like, so he's got all these spare seats, and he's like chosen the one behind me, and then he sticks his head in the back of my seat so I can continue to look. And so I kind of like pushed the seat, like, can you just give me my personal space? Can you lean back a bit? And like his head went like, and he didn't move. It didn't even register him. And I'm like, this guy's AI. He's not even there. It was just like it was like a Borg or something. And so anyway, I got up again, moved again, and I looked at him, and he was still like that, like didn't move. And then I found another seat, and then 3 people come in with a speaker and started playing reggaeton or something. In the end, I just gave up. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, the Matrix is out to get me, you know. And this is what happens, you know. It's like, whenever I work on a client or something, you know, the building will just start, or someone will start playing their music really loud, or it just happens so much. It cannot be a coincidence anymore. So yeah, NPCs are definitely real.
Yeah, and Tony, we know there are very few coincidences in this realm. There are almost no coincidences, from who we meet, who we interact with, what we do, where we live, how we land there. All these things. There are very few coincidences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do you see it differently?
Yeah, I think. I mean, God, it can go so deep with this topic. I mean.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look into the phenomenon of alien love bites, where they can set up relationships in the astral realm with people that they hope will put you off your path. They call them love bite relationships. I had one actually, really interestingly, just about 6 months before I got into all this work and started to find out about this, because they can see your future timelines, right? So they must have thought, like, we need to stop him from going where he's going with all of this. And this woman came into my life, and she was like, on the surface, everything that I thought I wanted. She was against the system, and yada yada, all that stuff. And I was like, this is great. Anyway, 2-3 months down the line, there's a smear campaign she's starting about me. She's out there on social media, like, bad mouthing me. She was showing up at my house. She was threatening to suicide if I left her, and all this stuff. And I'm like, gee, that was definitely a relationship. And at that point, it was very traumatic for me, because she'd gone public with so many different lies, And I remember I had to go. I actually went to Thailand to get away, and I remember like sitting. I was feeling so cut up and lonely and just upset about it. I was on the beach and I was like, I just want to give up all this stuff. I don't want it anymore. So actually, when I look back, they almost got me with that. You know, I nearly packed it all in. You know, and now I look back and I see absolutely it was set up to try and take me off my path. And this is what they do. The Matrix, this simulation, it will target people that you know, are a problem to them. And this can be just through trauma, through people, from family members, and you know, it's because they're after the soul beings. They're after the source players or the essence players. We're the ones with the energy. They don't want us, you know, truly healing ourselves. They don't want us coming into any kind of awareness, because if you take, it's like any device, you take the batteries out, it stops working, and we're the batteries. And a lot of us are going to take ourselves out, and you know, that's going to affect the whole system, the whole simulation, because it's powered by our energy,
by the essence beings. Interesting.
Yeah.
That is so interesting.
So this is why it's so important this lifetime people get it right. I know you might have your, not you personally, but I'm speaking to your viewers, I know you might have your religious beliefs, whatever you're into, but please just take a step back, and because these things are going to be used against you when you pass over. You know, they will quite happily use Jesus, God, Buddha, whatever your thing is, whatever your flavor is, they will use it against you. And the worst thing you can do is get to a level of knowledge, not go the full way, and then they use those things, and then you get your mind whacked, and then you're back here for God knows how many lifetimes. And so we have an opportunity now where, yeah, there seems to be like this window that we have, where we're able to, you know, get ourselves out. And so, yeah, it's so important that people, I think, get it right this time.
Yeah, so you see a window of opportunity to actually, you know, either disintegrate this virus, as you called it.
Well, for me, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I mean, whatever we do individually affects the whole anyway, right? So, you know, when you do some healing on yourself, I mean, I work with a satanic ritual abuse survivor, and we had a session, and she did some land clearing of where some kind of ritual took place. She went back there in her mind, and she was clearing it. And I was sitting there, and I was holding space for her, and I started to feel a lightness come over me. She's in Canada, I'm in Mexico. Mm-hmm. This is no lie. And I said to her, she's passed away now. God, you know, I should be careful when I say God bless. She was an incredible woman. When I look back, and I could see why the Matrix had targeted her so badly. Like, she lived such a horrific childhood, and she was so like on point. She had like, you know, she could see things, feel things before they even happen, you know. Mm. And so we're working. She's doing this land clearing, and I said, I'm feeling like really light. I'm starting to feel light. And I said to her at the end, I was like, Pat, what you just did there in Canada, in Kamloops, I felt it in my energy field here in Mexico. And that's how, you know, that's how powerful we are. You know, we can transmute things, and they know this about us. They know that really we're the strong ones, and they spend all their time telling us that we're weak, that we're parasites, there's too many of us, we need to be wiped from the earth. And it's the opposite that's true. I think we have been behaving weak. I think we have been ignorant. We've allowed ourselves to be manipulated through our own, sometimes I think even innocence, you know. Sometimes I see people's comments, and, you know, I think as humans we just kind of want to see the best in everything, and we don't feel that people want to inflict so much evil onto us. But unfortunately there are forces out there that do that, and they want to do that, and they need to do that to us. So I think we need to really grow up and start becoming more mature in the way that we take in our information, and stop believing blindly everything because it makes us feel good or makes us feel safe. There's no safety in thinking that a masquerading entity is going to be there waiting for you at the end of your life to help you. I mean, people can believe what they want at the end of the day. You know, it's up to them. But, you know, this isn't something that I've just spent 5 minutes looking over.
No.
This is a body of, you know, a quarter of my lifetime's work now. Well, maybe not so much of that, but so yeah, I think that's all that I can really say on that.
Yeah, but Tony, when you mentioned also the comments and the remarks people make about that they can't believe how, you know, evil things can be or how bad things can be, I always wonder, like, what is it they cannot see? The Congo is there in your face. Sudan is there in your face. Haiti is there in your face. Afghanistan is there in your face. Palestine is there in your face. Like, come on. This is not natural. This is not a natural state of existence.
No.
It's not necessary for anybody to starve. You talk about the scarcity mindset as well. We know the earth is abundant. So why is there scarcity? So I don't know. That's what, when you were saying that, you know, they want to feel good, but we all want to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something is wrong, very wrong. You know what I mean?
Well, it all makes sense when you realise that many people are NPCs. I really,
okay.
I mean,
yeah, okay, go back to that.
Yeah, I think now of all the years I wasted trying to wake people up.
Okay, Tony, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I went through, oh God, sleepless. Why are they not waking up? What's wrong with them? Why can't they see what I see? Well, yeah, because they're not programmed the same. They're killing characters. And it's, oh my God, yeah, the hours wasted, you know, trying to wake people up. My God. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people. I mean, you know, you woke up. I woke up at one point, so it's not completely. It's not a complete waste of time, because sometimes it just takes that one piece of information. But I think most people who are going to wake up are awake now. You know, I don't think, you know, if you're not awake now after the last 4 years, I mean, God, you know, it's never going to happen for you. So, yeah. So I think all we can do is look after ourselves. When we look after ourselves, that affects the collective anyway.
Yeah.
So, and the main thing is, you know, I'm saying to people, look, probably it's your last time here, right? I've had so many people down the years tell me, I've always felt this was my last time here. Always felt, you know, I get so many people say that to me. And, you know, I think once you realise the soul trick, probably it is going to be your last time. Laugh at this clown world, you know, try and do the best that you can. It's going to be rocky the next few years, but if you got it in the back of your head that probably you're not going to be coming back again, then just try and make the most of it and enjoy the things while you can. Enjoy nature and your loved ones and your creative abilities. You know, we're creative beings, so, you know, we're the writers, the painters, the storytellers, the comedians, you know, all those things that we've lost. So you know, just make the most of this time. Make sure you do your due diligence with the information, and just know that hopefully it's your last time around this crazy place.
Yeah, and you know, Tony, when you said, you know, how it's going to be the next couple years, you know, I remember what one of our guests, I think it was Sherry, I don't recall, but one of our smart guests, she said that this realm has been pillaged, plundered. There's been so much war and damage done to this realm that human beings cannot even imagine a realm without any of this.
I know, and this is why we've normalized suffering. I mean, you look at,
we've normalized it.
You look at the
and go and eat a pizza.
Yeah. You look at like the self-help community. It's like, and even I talk about the importance of healing, but it's like, why have we got to heal all the time? Why have we got, you know, there's like a men's movement, and some of the memes, they're like, you know, a true man cannot feel greatness until he's gone through suffering, and I'm like, why do I need to go through suffering to realize greatness? Why can't I just be great? You know, why do I have to go through this struggle? You know, everything's got to be
this struggle. You know,
yeah.
There's even a song. I think it was by Betty Wright. You know, I'm a seasoned woman, okay, and she sang "No Pain, No Gain."
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like, no pain, no gain. Like seriously?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just we've normalised trauma and suffering, and you know, the New Age movement is a big, you know, a big problem, because people fall into that movement when they wake up, and then they go down the lines of that. You know, this is all just a lesson, and well, we've already spoken about all of that, and so yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's just crazy, and I'll do my bit while I'm here, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, I think we're all just doing our bit, and Tony, thank you for doing your bit. I absolutely had a blast. You know, this was so much fun, and really, you shared some really valuable information. If people are willing to receive, of course, there's always that element of willing to receive and to research it further. You know, to question it as well. You know.
Yeah,
and before we head out, I'd like you to. Oh, I want to mention something. When you were mentioning how when you're in the other realm, when you die in the other realm, you can create instantly. I thought about the movie What Dreams May Come with Robbie Williams. He was creating instantly through his depression, the loss of his wife, and when he was happy with his daughter, he was creating pocket rounds instantly. That was
really? I need to watch that.
That was a deep movie, What Dreams May Come with Robbie Williams.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I have to watch.
Yeah, that's what I thought about. So, Tony, before we head out, I'd like you to have the last word and also tell our listeners where they can find you and your information, which I must add will be in the description as well. All Tony's information will be there.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is where I talk about all this stuff, which is just my name, Tony Sayers. I have my website, transcendingtimes.org. You know, that's where I've got details of my books and my course and things like that. I've got Telegram and all the other usual ones, Facebook, Instagram, Physchic. So yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming, Tony. And to all our listeners, thank you for stopping by. Until next time, goodbye.
See ya.